I do want to recognize something about being in a relationship with a narcissist, coming out of the relationship with a narcissist, right? So in the beginning of the relationship with a narcissist, it's all smoke and mirrors. Like, they mirror exactly what you want. So that's why you have to shut up and not tell them what you want, because they pretend like they're everything that you want and need, and you think you found everything you want because you probably have already healed a lot of parts of yourself, and you think you found the one. Okay, they healed, they got you to let your guard down, okay, and now you think you found the one, and then they came in and completely chipped away at your confidence again, and you're like, fudge, damn, I just went through this shit, I got better, and I allowed this shit to happen again because I am a dumbass, right? So if this starts happening, you have to immediately get out of the situation, okay? Immediately get out of the situation. As soon as you start seeing them attempting to chip at the situation, chip at your confidence slowly, okay? Because it's only going to get worse over time. So yes, you are bamboozled in the beginning of a situation with a narcissist, okay? So anyone that says you chose wrong and you picked them, right? Because they like to blame women for these situations. Yes, they did mirror you because you told them what you wanted, okay? Instead of watching who they were, okay, and seeing them for what they actually are, what they have, or what their historic patterns, stuff like that, because they're gonna have patterns. Like they're gonna have like weird life patterns, right? Like they don't really have anything, or they kind of like they don't want to show you their history. Their past history is like gone, kind of like they don't have. They kind of erase their history and like restart a whole entire new life, kind of thing. I don't know. So be wary of those things. Like, they're not your Prince Charming, bro. It's not happening, okay? Like, they need to have consistent people over time that can vouch for them or whatever, that it's not a weird scenario, okay? So you need to be vigilant about that kind of stuff. So be on your P's and Q's. You need to have strict, strong boundaries, okay? So you might have been a little bit bamboozled, but you allowed the bamboozle. Yes, I do agree 100% with that, okay? Because I do agree that I did do that. Like, I knew going in it was not a good situation, and I knew God was testing me, and I allowed the shit to be a little messed up. And I can tell you that story later, like exactly kind of what happened, and all the things that transpired and why I allowed it, and then the pregnancy, and it was just like a mess, okay? And why I allowed it to go on so long. But in hindsight, you know, I was like, okay, there's a lot of parts of me that was shown during a relationship. And that's what really happens in relationships. Relationships are for you to see yourself, okay? So whatever he got from the relationship, that's on him, okay? But relationships are about you seeing yourself. I will tell you that in a relationship with a narcissist, you need to be aware of one thing that I realized why I attract narcissists, because narcissism is very, 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 very common in my family. So my father has high amounts of narcissism. So he is extremely babied by my mother, and was extremely babied his entire life. His sister babied him, his mother babied him. He was babied his entire life. He is a narcissist, okay? My mom creates space for him. She's his enabler. We was his enabler, okay? We as children had to become his enabler. So it is normal for me to see this type of behavior. This is normal for me. It is normal for me to adapt to this type of behavior. My grandfather was a narcissist, and I'm hearing more and more shit about my grandfather, and I actually adored my grandfather. He was my favorite. I was his favorite. Recently, before he passed, he made me a breadboard, because he was a wood maker after he retired, and I followed him. Like, I spent so much time. I was his favorite. Like, everybody knows that. And he made me a breadboard, and he said, and on the back of the breadboard, he wrote a note to me, and he said, Samantha, stay away from the boys. They're trouble unless they're like me, and that's no shit. Pete laceration, okay? But he was a shitty ass husband to my grandmother, okay? So, like, my mom mimics my grandmother in the man that she chose, and how she treats her man, and how the dynamic. She mimicked it, and I mimic my mom. So I allowed it because I learned it in my childhood. So it's my childhood trauma brought the energy of a narcissist to me. Literally, I attracted it because of my energy. So it is my fault. It literally is 100% my fault. So I think a lot of people, we can victim blame all the time and say these are narcissists or these horrible people, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you literally brought this into your energy, right? And you have to figure this out. Like, why the fuck did this happen to me? Okay, so and I think that's interesting to, you know, repair, you know, try to understand why. Like, now I will not go back and say, oh my God, this is my fault, and I see why I do understand his dynamic, his childhood dynamic, why he's a narcissist. Do I give a fuck? No, I don't. Okay, that's his problem. He needs to fix that. Do I want to be with him? No. Do I want to fix him? No. Do I feel bad for him and want to stay in the dynamic because of it? No. Do I understand why he's the way he is and why he doesn't understand the way he is and why he does what he does? Like, yes, to an extent. That doesn't excuse his behavior and how he treated me. Yes, he still abused me and treated me like shit, right? And he still thinks that he didn't. But I understand why he thinks that, because he doesn't understand himself yet, right? But analyzing the situation and being able to understand the psyche of the person doesn't excuse the behavior, doesn't make the situation better. Now, understanding why I attracted it to my life because of my trauma and my childhood situation and the behaviors and patterns of my family, yes, that is good for me, right? Because I can understand what happened in my, you know, in my situation, like in my life, to fix for me, for my future, my future relationships. Yes, that's great, because I can fix my next relationship. Like, I can fix what I attract in my future. For my future relationships, I can fix me. And that's why I said I vibrated out of the relationship, because I understood why I attracted it and why it kept coming to me. And when I would try to try to talk to him about why he might do the things that he did to me or to the kids, or talk the way he talked, or did the things that he did, or why I might do the things that I do, why I attracted what I attract. Like, I literally spoke to him about what I did. We're on two different levels, right? So when I'm saying, like, I'm vibrating out of this relationship, I've honestly never vibrated in a relationship, okay? But that's when I was saying, like, I was vibrating out of the relationship. So the only reason why I'm having this conversation is just to understand, why are you attracting this type of person in your life? Because there is a reason why these type of people are coming into your life. You cannot keep blaming the person, okay? And because literally there's a reason why you attract these people in your life. Because you don't want to blame it on you, because they are, you can't excuse what they're doing. I'm not saying to excuse what they're doing, because they are doing it. And they might not be realizing that they're doing it, right? Because they think it's normal to them, because that's who they are. That's how they grew up. That's something psychologically happened to them as a child. Yes, we can understand it. Doesn't excuse their behavior, okay? Understanding is cool, because it's like, okay, I get that. And it's not like, oh my God, I'm worthless, because you feel worthless when they treat you like that, because they make you feel worthless, because it makes them feel better, right? But it's not about you, it's about them. That's their fucking problem. But at the same time, why the fuck did I allow that in my goddamn energy? That is a problem. I need to fix that about me, so I don't bring that shit around this anymore. That's what we need to worry about, this, not that, right? So that's what I want you to focus on when you're dealing with this, and like, wow, this person is fucking shitty. What the fuck is my problem? How the fuck did that get here, right? Because I want me to be better, right? And obviously, I love my parents. There's some great aspects to my parents, my childhood, to how I was brought up, but there's also some not so great aspects, okay? And I actually do talk to my parents about this, and like, my mom can understand to an extent, and sometimes she's just like, hey, bitch, I'm old as fuck. Like, I'm not about to fix this shit, okay? your dad, and I think my mom really does have a grasp on it, okay? She feels like she can't do anything about it. And my dad definitely is extremely stuck in his ways. I think he has trauma that he will die with, okay? That he will never talk about, he'll die with. And my mom has carried his burden for her life, okay? And you can see it, you can tell, and it sucks. And I think she knows, you know? And unfortunately, a lot of women do that. But I know in our day and age, right? Women aren't doing that anymore. We want men to heal themselves and their trauma, okay? Hence why I'm single, okay? But a lot of men don't realize it, and then they have women that are enablers because they kind of almost had to back then, right? Because they had to stay with the man and enable that behavior and not fix their trauma, okay? I'm not doing that, obviously. In my scenario, I'd rather have a healed man. You know, and as much as she wants would like my father to do that, he's already 73, so it's going to be extremely difficult for him to undo that, especially with her being his enabler for over 40 years. So why did you attract that to your life? What happened to you in your childhood that might have caused you to attract a narcissistic partner? What had made that normal for you? How were you treated as a child that might have made it normal for you to see a narcissist as a great partner? Okay? It's interesting. Why have you blurred lines on boundaries as a child? See, as a child, I learned how to manipulate my emotions, to change my emotions, to allow my father to have his childish outbursts or we had to basically kind of control our space for him because he couldn't control his. I don't really know how to explain it. So I learned how to do that for him as a child. I learned how to manipulate myself to fit him in it, okay? So then as an adult, I did that for men, right? So I learned how to do that for men. I learned how to bend my boundaries for a man and bend instead of put my boundaries up, okay? Which, because my mom did that, and then she taught us how to do that. So he got his way all the time, at all points, regardless of how bad it's hurt us, because she lacked her boundaries, because my grandma lacked her boundaries, okay? So, this is something that's extremely important to think about. Why did you attract them to your life regardless of the circumstance, okay? Regardless of how bad they treated you.